Greetings, Mega Man fans, and welcome back to the Mega Man Super Fighting Robot LPA. First of all, I'd like to apologize again for that little drop in microphone quality. Turns out my headset did not like my recording program very well. Well, my new headset. And I didn't realize it until after I had already pre-recorded quite a few episodes. It'll take a little bit longer for Mega Man 42 to catch up in terms of quality, but for now, I should have things more or less back to normal. Anyway, without further ado, let's take on Soakman, the last of the 3 Robot Masters who were available to fight in the Mega Man Super Fighting Robot demo. He looks a lot stockier than his mugshot would suggest. Anyway, Soakman stage is the typical water stage, and I think it's actually the stage that has received the least amount of changes between the demo and the full release, which isn't really a bad thing. It was already a pretty decent stage so anyway, our first new trait to deal with is Double. Double is a relentless bubble robot that will chase you down, and when it gets killed, it splits into 2 Pico Doubles, which are smaller, have less health, less speed, and as you saw, they will actually kill themselves if they run into you. They're overall a lot less dangerous. And Double itself is not terribly dangerous on its own. Just be wary of dealing with it in groups. It can be a lot nastier in groups. And here we have Tuna Attacker, from way back in Leafman stage. Yeesh, Leafman stage was months ago. We know how Tuna Attacker behaves already. I'm not going to worry too much about going over it again. That being said, I do like that we had the safe place to observe its behavior, even if we don't learn about all of it. Anyway, well, okay, that happened. We also have, besides water, we have waterfalls. They're pretty simple. When you're standing in them, your jump height is drastically decreased, as opposed to increased. Which, that's fine. Neat gimmick. I think Mega Man 4 used it, didn't it? Main thing I like about this is its introduction is actually fairly solid. Like, let's face it, if you fall in these spikes over here, that's your own fault. And otherwise, they serve as a very effective deterrent to ensure that the player learns about how the waterfall works. Which, I'm not going to argue about forced gimmick conveyance. Forced gimmick conveyance is usually the best way to go about teaching a gimmick. Usually. And, wait. Yeah. I actually just said that an introduction which used spikes in it was a good one. What is wrong with me? But I do genuinely think that was a good introduction. And here we have Cloud Chew. When it lines up with you vertically, it will sneeze and rain, and it will proceed to rain on you. It can be a bit irritating to deal with, but as you can see, you are mostly safe from its water droplets if you're already underwater. I say mostly safe because I've had a few instances where the water droplets have decided to try and rain on my head anyway. Which is very rude, to put it mildly. So, if you're dealing with Cloud Chew, don't take the chance. Just kill it. Another enemy you want to kill off fairly quickly is the Marine Meteor. It's a snorkeling met, which has some... Oh, that was very nice. That was nice. It has some annoying behaviors, in my opinion. At least it can be annoying. It will swim towards you, I think it was 3 times. And on the second and third time, it will shoot a spread of downward shots. Similar to a regular Met, only, you know, downwards. And here we have a Splash Mo. It's probably one of the most common enemy types in this stage. How Splash Mo behaves is it fires spreads of 4 bubbles in a counterclockwise and then a clockwise formation, alternating between the two. It can be a little tricky to deal with if you don't learn its pattern, as well as just how to deal with it in general. Needless to say, you want to learn how to deal with it. Trust me, the knowledge of how Splash Mo behaves is incredibly useful later on. And this is a room that, is a lot trickier. Can be a lot trickier if you don't play your cards right. But if you play your cards right, Double and Marine Meteor can be dealt with individually and very easily. Not really a bad thing, considering how close it is to the beginning of the stage. But, you know, I do hope they get a more interesting combination later. And here we have another Shield Assaulter introduction. He's back in blue, although his shots are still purple. The Shield Assaulter's intro here works just as well as it did in Dagger Man stage, really. I mean, if you seriously climb up that ladder while there's a shield attacker that's shooting at you just above it, at that point I think you pretty much deserve to get hit by it. And, as you saw, it's very easy to dispatch in this particular instance. I definitely have no complaints about this intro. And a quick detour to get the letter and some money, because why not, right? And a quick slide, and one near miss, and Shield Assaulter is not a threat anymore. Let's keep going. That is and that was really close. I probably should have regretted that jump, but I ended up not doing so. Whoa, what the? Yeah, that Cloud Chew shouldn't have followed me off of the screen transition. Evidently the screen scroller in this game is nastier than it looks. Anyway. This section right here actually provides an interesting challenge. Tuna Attacker, as we are aware, when it gets close to you, becomes more aggressive in its shooting habits. And you have to, you have to deal with that in this section and try to figure out how to work your way around it, since it can be a little tricky to kill it. Though, make no mistake, it's doable. Anyway. What I'm doing here is a bit risky, but, you know, gotta have the goodies. And thank goodness for Leaf Boomerang. Like, Leaf Boomerang really is one of the best weapons in this game. Waterfall messing me up. There we go. I have a lot of money now, I bet. Anyway, originally there were actually spikes right about here. But it was, Skipper, I believe, felt that the spikes were quite unnecessary, so they got removed. Quite frankly, I'm not inclined to disagree with him. Okay, that was close. And here we have the Twin Soakers. They're a midboss. they're the midboss at this stage. The twin soakers will move up and down on their little pipe things. And how they behave is they will alternate which one shoots. And they will shoot either horizontal shots or slightly more vertical shots. They can be a little tricky to deal with, though a little less so once you've got it down to just one of them. When it's just one of them, it will start shooting far more rapidly, but it will still keep to the same pattern. It just speeds up in general, no thanks to it being cracked and possessing a very upset-looking expression. It's probably the most difficult of the mini-bosses in this game, at least in my opinion. I tend to have more difficulty with the twin soakers than I do any of the other mid-bosses. Anyway. Oh, it's just a double. Nothing too major. Okay, this on the other hand. That combination of double and toon attacker, if you're the type to not use charge shots, can be very nerve-wracking. At least in my opinion. Anyway. And, okay, quick little splash mode to deal with. And we have a new gimmick type. Whirlpools. They shove you. That's pretty simple, really. And a good use of the Whirlpool there, along with Marine Meteor, in order to show off the dangers of the Whirlpool. Especially since you've got that safe little alcove to stand in so Marine Meteor doesn't shoot you in the face. I actually really like how the introduction was handled there, complete with the way it demonstrates how this can be dangerous before putting you into a situation where that is completely true. And that Marine Meteor probably should have scrolled itself off screen or something, but oh well. And here we have a bit more of a dangerous section. This spot can be a little tricky to get through successfully. No thanks to the fact that I am being a huge coward. Aha! There we go. Much better. Oh! Dear. I did say these guys are a bit more dangerous in groups. Ow. I wasn't kidding. 3 doubles at once. That could be quite a trick to dodge. And speaking of quite a trick, this is probably the single most... That was probably the single most dangerous room in the stage. In beta testing, I won't lie, I've died in this room a lot. It's really nerve-wracking. And it can be quite a trick to dodge the splash modes in the process of also trying to dodge the spikes and deal with the whirlpools. It's a neat little challenge. Whoops. You cannot jump in that section. If you jump, you get blown into the other whirlpool, and then you have problems. And that shield assaulter right there, a lot easier to deal with than any of the ones in Daggerman's stage, thanks to water shenanigans. And the E-Tank is mine! Along with an easy snipe on Cloud Chew. And then not so easy kill on the shield assaulter and lots of money. How many screws do I have? Oh wow, I have over 1,000 screws. Maybe I should consider spending some. Nah! Why would I do that? So, if you few more shield assaulters and a rather simple waterfall there, like, really. And, okay, another double. Well, that Pico double ended up being completely useless. I love it when the enemies do that. I'm just going to do my best to ignore that Marine Mentor down there. And, okay. Ow. Alright, I need to slide forward a little here. Ah, that's a Marine Met. Ow. Son of a gun. Botheration. And of course, that thing is going to have respawned on me. Okay, that is how you deal with that thing. And we're at the boss door. This stage. You know, I really can't complain too much about this water stage. It's probably one of the best water stages I have seen in a fan game so far. For one, while it definitely has spikes, I don't feel like it abuses them to insane degree. If anything, it feels a lot more moderate in its spike count even compared to official levels. Instead, it substitutes it with actually unique and interesting challenges. And, you know, speaking as someone who appreciates game design, I cannot argue with that. Probably the only real complaint I have is the fact that, like in Coleman's stage, the most nerve-wracking part of the stage is it occurs a little earlier than I would have expected it to, which is a little for the difficulty curve. But overall, still a very good stage. I quite like this one. The battle against Soakman itself is also a pretty nice one. For a time, he is tricky, but really... why did I? He is a lot easier than I'm going to end up making it look. To tell the honest truth. How Soakman behaves is he begins his pattern by creating a bubble that will bounce around the room. And then he will jump once, and then fire three of those bubbles forwards, and then he jumps, and then he will jump towards you once, and then he'll jump forwards, aiming to land in a specific location, and then he'll fire off the soak rain, which, as you can tell, is not very difficult to deal with. Just stand in front of him and jump with good timing, and, you know, you dodge soak rain rather easily. He has a very simple pattern, and if you know how to deal with him, and you aren't recording on camera, he's actually rather simple to fight. I just played a little poorly at the start of that fight there, honestly. Anyway, his weapon is the soak rain. The best way for me to describe it is that it's basically what Thunderwool should have been. You fire these 3 clouds that will float upwards, giving you a nice little spread, and they will rain on basically everything in their path. It's a fairly solid weapon, a lot like what Thunderwool should have been. Especially since the clouds are completely harmless, right down to the fact that they don't actually touch enemies at all. So you don't have to worry about running a cloud into an enemy. This is a lot easier to use than Thunderwool. It's also the weapon used to put out the fires that we saw in Coleman's stage. So if you grab it and take it to Coleman's stage, you can make that level a little easier. Pity you can't do anything about the lava. That would have been nice. Anyway, with that, we've completed the 7th of 8 Robot Masters, and oh my word, this is a long video. Anyway, the next episode will be taking on Trash Man. I mean, who else are we gonna fight? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope this video wasn't too long for your tastes. A lot to say in this stage, evidently. And I shall see you for the next episode. Until then, goodbye!